What's up, guys? Ash from Imaginary Goddess here. So I'm back today with the deck profile. I wanted to post this before G-BT08 hit, so I'm not sure when this is hitting up, but I did get to play test it a little bit before, and then I got all the cards during the pre-release and whatnot. So I'm at a point where I'm at the end of it, all the testing. I think it's pretty much as good as it's going to get, but this is my new updated Nightrose build. I know that a lot of people really like playing Granblue. It's become a very popular clan. So without further ado, I am running the. I'm just gonna start with the zeros. So running Grenache. I know a lot of people want to use the Ghosty, the one that lets you. It has Forerunner, and I believe it counterblasts one to put into Soul, Mill 2, draw a card. And I was testing with that. It's just not as good. It puts you back kind of a bit too far. The counterblast isn't that bad, but overall, it just doesn't fit as well as just running Grenache. So I run Grenache as a starter, of course. Into the trigger lineup, I run, of course, the new crit. This is the Nightrose crit. It goes into Soul when you attack and lets you draw a card if you have a Nightrose. The Vanguard, basically. Gives +5 as well. So, pretty nice. So whenever you're stride and you're not riding Nightrose for whatever reason, get another card in Soul, draw a card, or other ways like that. So it kind of lets you go through your deck a bit faster. It's kind of terrible glare there, but we'll see if we can work through this. Then I run 4 other crits. This is the Banshee. I just run both arts because I feel like it. Again, she's a go into Soul, draw a card. So she's actually very important in this variant of the build. So, there you go. Then I run, of course, for the Ghosty. This can be a 2 of if you want. In some cases, you might even be able to get away with a 1 of. I feel, though, that after playtesting extensively, 4 is a pretty good way to do it. But I can see you doing 2 to 3 as well. And what I would change is either 2 more crits. And I really wouldn't recommend the draws. You really go through your deck really fast in this deck. Or this build of it, anyway. So, there's that. Then I run 4 heals. This, of course, is just can be anything. I have this because it was in the trial deck. So, and it's not like I'm unsleeving all my cards from my previous build or anything. So, grade 1's Perfect Guard. The Jin, I think, is still the best. You do counterblast a lot in this deck, so it does help. And because of the way Hollow works, you don't care if your rear guards die. In fact, you pretty much want them to die. So, there's almost no reason to run any other type of Perfect Guard. Now, they make a Hollow one, and it does some pretty cool stuff, maybe, but the unflipping is pretty nice. Then I run 4 of Negrobone. It's the Nightrose booster, rear guard booster that lets you call something in front of it after the battle. What's important, though, is that you can only call Hollow. So a lot of people, I guess, don't realize it. So that's something important to note when you're playing the deck and when you're versing someone that's playing the deck, that you can only call Hollow. And I know a lot of people forget that. I run 3 Stride Fodders. I find that they're a bit clunky because you do go through your deck pretty fast. So it's not like you're really in need of stuff. And really, if you end up having to drop 2s or 1s in your drop zone for just Stride, is not the worst thing in the world. So just 3. You can up it to 4 if you want, but I found that in testing 3 works best. Then I run 2 Head Start Zombie. I really like this guy. If you were going to run one more of Stride Fodder, I would take out one of these. But this thing can be anything. But I like him because he's a Hollow. And he pretty much lets you... So when you place him on rear, if he's hollowed, you can search your deck for 1 card, put it into drop zone, shuffle your deck. And if you don't do that, and if it's not hollowed rather, you put the top card of your deck into your drop zone. So he gets you another card in your drop zone regardless. GB1, of course. But he lets you essentially pick through your deck to find what you want, what you need, put it in your draw. Then onto the grade 2s, I run 3 Nigger He's pretty much 16k attacker when he's hollowed. So he's just too good because you don't need boosters. You literally call something that requires a 10k guard. So he's just awesome like that. I run 2 Columbard. He's the counterblast 1 when it attacks a Vanguard. If he's boosted, you can choose something where it drops on and call it to rear. So he's part of. He just lets you do extra like combos because he lets you call stuff. So 2 of him. Then I run 2 of the Skeleton Cannoneers. He's another hollow. He's kind of like he's almost like a tech. I see a lot of people run 4 of him. And I find that most of the time you don't need it. He's really good against certain decks though, because he lets you snipe key cards. Because he's a counterblast 1. When he's placed on rear from your drop zone, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. Then if he's hollow, draw a card. So he's he's basically a counterblast 1 for a +1 and kill something. So he's super good. But if you're trying to go for like a multiple attack route for like a turn, he may not be the best thing to run. But he is nice. Even if you have him without him being hollowed, he can be nice. So you can call him and not hollow him. Because there's a combo with that, which I'll get to sometime in the video about that. Then I run two Negro Lazies. It's hollow, counterblast 1, soul blast 1 when he's placed on rear. If you have a Vanguard or Nightrose, you pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card, not named himself, from your drop zone, call it to rear, and until the turn it gets +2. And when this put in the drop zone due to the effect of a hollow, you can countercharge soul charge. So I'm only running 2 because his cost is kind of weird. It doesn't let you call out grade 3s, and his hollow actually, I believe the ruling on it is if you resurrect him with Nightrose's GB2, you can't use his hollow to unflip on soul charge. So there's that. So he doesn't get the red text if you do that. I run 2 King Serpent. Super awesome card. There's a reason I think it's like $5 or $6 card. Promo, and it's when he's placed on rear from drop, you can soul charge 1, choose a card from damage zone, and turn it face up. So 2 is the number that you want, and you almost always want both of them in the drop zone because it lets you set up for so many extra attacks that it's crazy. So his drawback is that he's an 8k, but it's not too bad of a drawback anyway. Let's see. Let's start straightening out some of this because I think I'm going to run out of space. Just move this up here. There, guys, just give me a moment while I do that. So that's that, and then we have one more grade 2. I run Ruin Shade. This can be anything. This is actually just a random tech because if you ride it, it's awesome because it mills early. You want to mill early, so you want this. It's kind of like It's kind of like one of those cards that you put in just to hope that you ride it. So when you do ride it, or if you get it early, it's really awesome. So there's no GB or anything, and it does swing for 11. So you can still hit if they get the grade 3 before you and you don't have a booster, and it'll let you mill early, so it's awesome for that. It can be anything though if you don't feel comfortable running it. I've just found in testing it works out pretty well. Then grade 3s, I run 4 Nightstorm. So we're not running the Ghast anymore. This is more of a focus on multiple attacks and doing a lot of other things in the deck. If you want to run Ghast or whatever grade 3, you could probably cut this down to 2. But I find that he is just so good. He's essentially a Counterblast 1. End of the battle, that he attacks a Vanguard. If he's hollowed, you can pay the cost, which is Counterblast 1. Choose up to 1 card not named himself from drop. Call it to a rearguard circle that he's not on. So he just lets you set up for more attacks. It's pretty insane. Then I run 4 Nightrose. Whole reason, I'm sure many people started playing Granblue. Kind of just really cute art. The artist, I believe, also does some vampire character from Force of Will and a few other things. But on top of being like that cute female art that a lot of card gamers like, she is a very good card as well. She's Counterblast 1. When you stride, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 card from drop, call it to rear, and it gets +2 until end of turn. And then she has a GB2 once per turn. Put 3 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone. When your rear guard is put into drop zone, you may pay the cost. If you do, you can call that card to rear. So it lets you do the Grenache combo where you sack Grenache for hollow, and then you res her, hollow him again, and then you basically end up unflipping 4. Pretty awesome for that. So that's the main deck. As you can see, there are some minor changes from the last build, and okay, I think that fixed the glare a little bit. So as you can see, there are some minor changes from the previous build, but overall the main build hasn't changed that much. So going on to the strides, I run 4 gashes, gosh, whatever you want to pronounce it as. So I was originally a skeptic. So first of all, I think every Granblue deck, at least Nightrose variant, should run 2, no matter what. But I didn't think 4 was very viable, but one of my friends at Locals had been playtesting, I guess, on like online clients or whatever, and he told me that 4 is really good. He helped me to develop this build, and then in testing, I found that 4 is insanely good. So he is a Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose a face down card called himself from G-Zone, turn it face up. When he's placed on Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 5 cards from your soul, put them into your drop zone. Choose the same number of cards from your drop zone as the number of cards put into the drop zone with this effect. Call them to separate rear guards, and they get +1k for each face-up card in G-Zone until end of turn. Insane. So this is going to be your first stride pretty much 90-some% of the time. Sometimes you'll Obadiah, but he's very slow. But he gives you an explosive opening. He lets you recover if they got the stride first or whatever, and he's just so good. So I'll go into combo or 2 with him in a bit, but we're gonna go through the rest of the G-Zone. So then we run Nightrose. As you can see, you got both of the SP versions, which don't look that different from each other actually, but 6 and 8. Anyway, so she is still one of the best Granblue strides because she's generic. She's on attack. It's kind of Counterblast 2 is kind of heavy, but you can get that back pretty easily, and lets you call 2 things to attack. It would be even better if they had power or something, but she's your GB2 almost all the time. This is going to be your second stride. There are a few cases where it won't be, but most of the time it will be your second stride. So I think she's still very important at 4. You can run her as 2 of, because I don't think in most games you're gonna stride all of the copies of her, but I have 4. Then some of my other generic strides, I run Bandit Rum. She's still a pretty decent thing for late game, I suppose. Just one-of strides are nice in like stall versus stall decks or whatnot, just because you don't get through your strides as fast. So she's okay. It can be anything really. Obadiah, he used to be our go-to card, but I think in today's meta, he's really too slow. Like if you're fighting a slow deck and you want to set up, this can probably be your first stride, but in most cases you're just going to go for the gash. Seabreeze, it's a GB deck. You're going to run Seabreeze. If you don't, then in those rare cases where you're getting rushed to death by grade 2s or whatever, you're going to regret you didn't run this. Plus, if you get stuck and you know that they're not playing a rush deck, you just toss that as one of the things that you have to, G-assist with? A Gleam. So I think most decks, maybe outside of Gear Chronicle, should probably run one of this card. He's just too good. He's a G Guardian, but he lets you basically discard and draw. So you can discard something that is useless for something that could potentially save your life for the turn. So too good to not run. And I think one of the things, reasons why you see it in a lot of pro decks is that it gives you options, and options are always good. I run 2 of the Deep Sea Corpse Dragon. It's the Mill 2. for a 20k shield. So pretty nice early on for the milling, and though in the later game you probably don't want to do it in fear of decking out. So there is a fear of decking out in this deck depending on what you're fighting against. Then I run 2 of the lilies. Sadly, don't have the SPs right now. It's a counterblast 1. Choose one of your rear guards, retire it. When this unit is placed on guard, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 normal unit with Ghosty. Call it to an open rear, and it gets plus 10k. Well, this gets plus 10k to end the turn. End the battle, rather. So it's a 25k shield. Let you call a normal Ghosty, which I believe in this deck is only the stride fodder. So I'll let you call that as a booster, I suppose. But there's some neat combos with her. That's why we run her. And the counterblast isn't too bad. So let's see if I can get into some of the combos here real quick. So some of the important things to note in this deck when you're playing. You need to play Grenache as if he doesn't have the Forerunner ability, which means you don't call him out. You need him in the soul. The only times that you would probably not keep him in the soul is maybe if you're versing like a stall deck or something, and you just want, and you can, you're able to use Obadiah or something like that. But maybe in those cases you might do it, but in most cases you're going to keep them in soul. Your ideal rise is probably this into grade 1. So grade 1, probably this, grade 2, and then attack, you mill some interesting stuff, then you ride or whatever. Let's see. Gosh, you ride Nightrose, right? And you need to have milled your cards. So let's say whenever you get to do your stride turn, right? You're probably realistically gonna have like 5 cards and drop, maybe more if you're lucky. So when you gash, your Soul Blast 1. So your first turn gash, you get a call 2. Technically, if you have Nightrose, you call 3, because you'll probably have, with the way this game goes, you'll probably have between 3 to 5 counterblasts at that point in time. So it's not unrealistic. So you call 2 things and something like, probably something like that, which would refill your soul. So it's important when you're calling with gash, this is a pretty decent thing to call, at least 1 King Serpent, because it negates the counterblast that gash cost. It gives you a soul back for your next time you got to gash, and at least on the first turn, it's a 9k. Further down in the turn, you got to remember that everything gets a plus 1k the first turn you use gash, if you're using it first. So it's a 9k, and everything else like maybe stronger. One of your ideal field setups is you want something like this at the end of a turn. So that way you can set up for multiple attacks, and like, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Call this, swing, call this thing, swing, and so on. Keep calling stuff. So you can go through a lot of the attacks the first turn with gash, and that's why he's really good. Puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, and he doesn't punish you for, like, if you guard early or if you rush early. Like, let's say my hand was like that, grade 1, 2, 3, and like 2 2s for whatever reason. On my second turn, I would just go all in with the 2s, because don't hollow them either. So just go all in, attack with them, block with them, or if your opponent thinks you're rushing, they'll attack them. So it'll save you from going close to death. Because you got to remember, gash, you only need 1 counterblast. So 1 counterblast gets you 2 attackers back. So because your graveyard is essentially like your hand, it's fine to just let stuff die. Let's see if I remember the combo with. So a lot of the multi-attack combos, gosh, I can't think very clearly, but it's going to work kind of the same as with Nightrose. You're just going to call a lot of things that let you chain into other things to multi-attack. Like, pretty much most of your deck revolves around either giving you an extra attacker or unflipping damage. Kind of does both roles. So most of this deck revolves around giving you an attacker or unflipping damage, and then if they hit triggers, you can call stuff like this where it'll hit through one trigger anyway. So Negro Lily, something you can do, right, is you'd call her, counterblast 1, if this thing is on the field, kill this thing. She's 25k shield or whatever now. You would call stinking Stride Fodder, probably as a booster of the Vanguard. So there you go. And then you could revive this and use its ability. So it's like I think it's a Denial Griffin. So it basically lets you kill an attacker and draw 1. Pretty intense. With the Mill 3. And the Mill 3, again, more resources because it gets you more stuff in your graveyard. And one of the other reasons I run 4 of the stands is that they can shuffle back. So it kind of helps you from taking out so fast, sort of. And when you're playing the Gash turn, at least the first one, it's okay to shuffle back the trigger too. Because if you can't kill them or can't get them pretty low, like you just don't have the stuff in the drop zone, it's okay to just use the trigger and just give yourself +10 or +10 to something and then shuffle itself back, which is awesome. Another thing that you can do is you can use her to kill the if you have the trigger out. Like if you have this out for whatever reason, like you didn't hollow it, you have this out, you can use her to kill it, bring it back with Nightrose, hollow it, and give Nightrose +10, so Nightrose will be 21k the rest of your opponent's turn. So it's insane. And then with this, of course, it'll be like what, 45? So for whatever attack you use that on. So pretty good defensively. So this is be your offensive, this is be your defensive. There are options. Like you won't always just have these sitting out either. But like let's say they're your last call, right? You don't have a 16k attacker or they have too many triggers and you want to call and you can call something. You can just call this and you have a counterblast open or whatever before your Grenache unflips all your damage. You don't have to hollow it. Don't hollow it. Just leave it there. Because if you have your heal trigger, you can use this and just toss it away and pop something and get yourself another card. It's pretty awesome with that. See there. I don't remember if there's any other things that are different from the other deck. Oh, so the crit triggers, these you're okay to use more now because you want soul for your second Grenache turn. Your units are going to come out with like at least +3 on them. Well, actually no, +4 because you don't want a Grenache after Grenache, so you'll probably go Nightrose afterward. So then your third stride will probably be either another Nightrose or another Gash. So if you do Gash, then everything gets +4, and if you do Nightrose and then do Gash the next turn, then everything is going to get like +7. So you can get some pretty big columns with it. So feel free to use these crit triggers. Just draw yourself some cards, put them in soul, so you just have a big soul. So if your whole field dies, that's fine. This thing can go in soul for you to draw more cards as well. That's fine. So feel free to liberally use those. How does this deck beat decks like Mega Colony, Link Joker, and whatnot? Well, you are more aggressive than them. You don't keep a field really, so your field just kind of dies. Like you kill your own field, so they don't have much to do with it. And if they, if you leave stuff out like him, right, it's fine because you're probably gonna be, if you're playing the deck right, you're gonna be out advantaging the advantage they get for this guy being alive anyway. And if worst comes to worst, you can just pop whatever with Lily, which is why she's pretty awesome as well. So overall, I think this is probably the most competitive Nightrose build right now. just the one that uses multiple Grenaches. I'm not exactly sure everything that's being run in Japan. I know that 4 Grenaches is very popular in Japan, and I can see why now after having playtested this deck. I think it's certainly a lot better than 7 Seas now, because you could argue before this set that 7 Seas is probably the better deck. But at this point, I don't think that 7 Seas can hold a candle with the new Nightrose support. The trigger is okay, but what really made Nightrose really good is Dash and Nicola Lily. So, yeah. So I hope that kind of gives you guys insight a bit on how to play the deck, and maybe a little bit of how to build the deck. You know, as always, it's my build. So if you don't like it or whatever, I'm curious to know why or how you would build your own deck. Feel free to share in the comments. Just let me know what you think about this deck, and if you decide to play it, how you do with it. Anyway, it's been great. It's Ash from Imaginary Goddess. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time.